Andy, welcome to Charlton. First of all, we have to start with last night's cup victory over Brighton. You'll have to excuse my voice in this interview, but for you as a new starter, what a great way to start the club.
Oh, it's fantastic. I think that a lot of last night shows what is so good about this football club. The fans were fantastic. The atmosphere was electric. The players were terrific. They showed a really good mentality. They were well set up. Anthony, and the staff did a great job. And it just shows the potential this group have got. It's just about the consistency of it. But to come away from a result like that against a really strong Brighton side with some international players, it's going to be a great boost for everybody. So we're delighted to be in the next round and hopefully a nice big draw again.
Joined us as technical director. What does that role actually mean?
Well, it's effectively advising the board at the moment until the end of January. About the transfer window. Obviously, it's an overseeing of the football department just to come in and have a fresh pair of eyes. Clearly, there's been some things that haven't been going right. So someone coming in with a new way of looking at things might give some new ideas. Understand what good people we've got here, how we can work better together, how we can make the most out of it, and clearly, give Steve and Martin and the rest of the group a bit of help in the recruitment in January.
As you mentioned there, only until the end of January at this stage. From a stability point of view, that's maybe caused a few concerns amongst fans. Why is it only until the end of Jan at this stage?
Yeah, no, I completely understand. I think that, that's one of the questions that was always going to be asked, and I'm very comfortable with it, and I think the club is as well. First and foremost, all my conversations I had before I came in here with Jim, and obviously with a new setup, with new senior staff coming in with Jim and Ed, myself and Dean, there was a way that we were going to be asked to be working together. It's something new. So from my point of view, I wanted to make sure that, I could, reward them with the promises that I'd made and equally that I'm working in an environment that they'd promised me as well. So the biggest concern was making sure we got to the end of January in a stronger position. The club was in a better position. The squad was stronger. We'd assessed everything and then look at it from there. But I'm very, very comfortable with the situation, and as is Jim, and we've had many conversations. We're very open with each other. I know the potential this football club's got, and that's why I wanted to be involved. It was never a case of, let's sort my contract out and then work out what we're going to do. I wanted to come in. It was important that we got in as quickly as we did, so that we could assess things quickly. And then we'll look at it once the madness of the January window's over, because I've been involved in lots of windows and it is hectic, and it's important that you concentrate on the things that you need to affect, and that's what we were doing there.
And looking at you throughout your career, you've had a lot of success on the pitch, in the dugout, and now sort of upstairs, if you like. What was it that attracted you to this role at Charlton?
I've been a sporting director at Watford. I really, really enjoyed it. I like working with people. I think getting the most out of people and seeing how you can work with them and they can work with each other is really important to me. Went to Swansea and we had some fantastic times. And obviously Steve Cooper came in as manager, and part of my role that Trevor Birch gave me, who's now the EFL chief exec, was to help Steve and mentor him a little bit and obviously look into the academy. So I've had a lot of roles that are very varied, but I enjoy the recruitment side of it without a doubt, and I think that's one of my strengths. But I think that my career progression was always going to be to oversee a group of staff and try and bring them all together and face in the right way and try and make it positive. So when a club like Charlton and the size of it, the potential, we all know that there's been a lot of struggles over the last few years and for a long, long time. But if you can be the one to help turn it around, then I, for one, know what this club can be, and I'd love to be part of that. So it's local to my house. My family and my wife's got friends who are Charlton fans, so we know how important this club is to the local community. Know how important it is, for Charlton to be higher up the league, certainly, and then try and get promotion. And if I can be part of that progress, that'd be fantastic.
January's coming quickly, as you say. How active can we expect to be next month, do you think?
Yeah, I don't think I would have been brought in if there was no funds. You know, I've been promised there's funds to bring some players in. We want to bring in a number of players. How many that will be depending on what's out in the market and what we can get them for. But we may have to generate our own funds and move a few players out that aren't contributing or aren't involved in the squad. And if we can recoup wages from them, then there may be other opportunities. But we are going to be strengthening the squad. We want to come out at the end of the January window with a stronger squad, the starting 11 being stronger, with more options off the bench, and that's our aim. So I'll be working closely with the group that are already here to assess what targets they've got, understand why they are the targets, how they fit in with Dean's new style of play and the profiling that he has for each position. And it's really important that we get that right. But it's also about character as well. I think that having come from Forest, it's really important to understand that, you know, sometimes the weight of the shirt is quite heavy. Certainly at Forest, the expectation is there, and I see this club as exactly the same, because we should be looking at winning games, and you should be going out the pitch expecting to win them games, and you have to have the right mentality, personality to fit into the group, and have a real desire to work hard, first and foremost, and represent the football club properly. So all those factors come together. So it's, we're going to be going into detail. We've got a meeting this afternoon where we'll go through exactly where the club is in terms of what they're looking at, and hopefully we can push forward after that meeting.
You mentioned that some players may depart the club in January. How will that work in relation to those coming in as well?
Well, I think it's a natural process. There's obviously players that aren't involved or aren't going to be happy if they're not involved. Primarily, the idea is we want to bring players in. That is going to be the biggest concern and the biggest workload that we're going to do, is bring players in. Once we've done that and we've brought in the right players, then we can assess the squad properly, see which players aren't going to contribute as much as maybe they want to or we want them to, and if there's players that are wanted by other clubs and we can move them out, it's a good deal for the football club and we can use those funds to strengthen again, then we will do that. That's a natural part of any window, but I want to make it really clear that we're not going to have a fire sale. We're not selling our assets. We want to improve the squad. We want to build for not just this window, for the coming seasons as well. So we want to keep all our assets. It will be players that are on the fringes, more or less, that either need to go out on loan and get some game time, or haven't been playing as much as they want and have got opportunity elsewhere. And if that works for the football club and it works for them, then we're more than happy to do that. But primarily, we can only do that once we've got the right players in to supplement that, because we've got a lot of games coming up. We need to make sure that we've got a strong squad that can cope with the workload. And once we've got a few injuries back in the beginning of January as well, we should have a near enough full complement of players to really look at and work out, which players are going to be involved and which ones may not be involved as much as they'd like.
How do you see that recruitment process working? Because you're obviously new on board, we've got a new manager in Dean. How do you see that all working?
Well, it's about understanding very quickly what Dean requires. I think that the initial conversation we've had, we understand there's certain positions that we need to strengthen. I think the squad is a little bit unbalanced in some areas, so we need to fill the right holes. It's understanding what the profile of player Dean wants, because there's no point in us going to bring a player in and it doesn't fit with what Dean's looking for. So there's got to be an alignment between everybody, and so that's why the meeting this afternoon, we'll be assessing those positions. We'll be looking at exactly the profile of the player that Dean is looking for, and then we can cross-reference that with the targets that the club's already got, maybe bring some new names to the fore, make sure that we've got detailed assessment, whether it's data, live scouting, personality traits, everything that normally goes into any recruitment process, to make sure that you've done a 360 view of the player and you know exactly what you're getting. And it's a case of making sure they're viable targets financially, and that the player and the club that they're at the moment want to come to Charlton, and we can get it done as quickly as possible. That's really where we want to be. We don't want to be waiting till the end of January. We want to get players in as quickly as we possibly can. it's easier said than done sometimes, because it's January window is never easy, and there's a lot of games, and with the amount of subs that teams can have now, it's difficult to let good players go. But hopefully, the size of the club and the potential of this football club will attract more players than any other club, and we can secure some good targets.
In your early conversations with Dean, the new manager, how impressed have you been with him?
Yeah, I like him a lot. I know, obviously I've spoken to a lot of people in the game. I know him through playing against him and coaching against him. He's a very focused guy, had a lot of life experience that I think makes him a good person, and I think that's really important. He's honest, he communicates well. Out in the grass, all the reports I've had on him is that he's very, very good, and I think that's with the group that we've got some very young players and who are still developing and need that understanding of working regularly on the pitch on a day-to-day basis. But no, I think that we've sort of known each other for 3 days in a close environment, and got on really well. Very similar way of thinking. So if we can communicate well and we can get the message across to the rest of the staff and to the players that we're in the same way of thinking, I think that's going to benefit. And obviously, off the back of last night with a great win, the atmosphere is going to be good around the place, certainly when everyone comes in tomorrow. So hopefully we can get out on the grass and he can have an impact straight away.
And just lastly, the Brighton game was obviously brilliant last night, but overall I think it's fair to say there is an air of nervousness amongst the fans about the position the club currently finds itself in. What would your message be to them?
It's totally understandable. We're coming into this with our eyes wide open. We don't think that we've got a divine right to be at the top of the league because we're Charlton Athletic. It's not that. We're understanding. We know where we are in the league. We know that we've got to improve. I've watched a number of games live and on video. The mistakes have been compounded regularly. Charlton mistake, lose the game. Bristol Rovers, 2 mistakes, lose the game. It's fine lines in this league. It's a very, very tough league. Some big clubs, and Charlton Athletics is a scalp. Teams come to the Valley and want to win, and think that they can turn the crowd. And we've got to make sure that we start with good energy. We have a good purpose. We play forward, we run forward. They're showing energy. We are organised. We know what we're doing, and we get the crowd to be excited about what's on the pitch. I think I'm a fan as much as anyone else. I want to see a game where there's chances and we're trying to score goals and we're showing commitment and they're willing to throw their bodies on the line like they were last night. And I think that was a prime example last night of the quality that the team has got. They can do it. It's about the consistency. It's about making sure that we do the right things more often than not. And it's going to take time for us to win the fans over, and hopefully we can turn results around quickly, and then that's obviously going to make everyone a bit more positive. But we've come in because we believe in this football club. We believe that we can have an impact, and hopefully that's a long-term thing. And then over time, fans will recognise the work that we're doing and that we have done, and as we push up the league, and they can get behind the side and see that there's a real belief amongst the group that we can all become together. And I think that's something that probably the club's lacked. It's very fragmented because of the situation and the circumstances that we find ourselves in. And if we didn't understand why the club was feeling like it was, then we'd be very naive. So we understand what we have to do to win the fans over. We understand what we have to do to make sure that players improve, and we know what we have to do to improve the squad. So if all those things can come together, then I'd like to think that the fans will be really pleased with the progress that we make, and support us as they always do. Even when things are going bad, they are there, and that is commendable, because it's been a really tough time. We accept that. So if we can be part of the movement going forward, where everyone's got a smile on their face and come out of the valley like last night bouncing, then we've done our job.
Thanks, Andy, and very best of luck.
Cheers, thank you.